All right, Team Blue, welcome to day 2. Today we're going to continue with a little bit more spine motion, but we're going to start adding some of the appendages so you're stimulating your entire body. Day 1 and day 2 is a great introduction to stimulating your body at home. Very low utility is required as it's only your body and trying to build awareness with your contractions as we described in the introductory video. Again, today I'm going to continue with introductory and advanced options. There will be 2 or 3 set recommendations aiming for 10 reps. Once again, if you start finding that you get fatigued very soon with some of these exercises, 2 or 3 reps, that is fine. Stop there, make note, and then see where you are next time. Let's jump in. Exercise number 1 is rotary torso. I'm going to show you an introductory and an advanced version so that way you can start working on this right away. Both of these exercises will be performed standing just to make it super easy. However, if you find standing tiring, you can definitely do these seated. What I want you to do is you're going to take your arms, you're going to put them out in front of you, you're going to have your hands together so your shoulder blades can't move that much, and then what you're going to do is you're going to actually turn all the way to one side, go as far as you can, hold it for 1 Mississippi, and then come all the way back. From an introductory perspective, what I'm going to have you do, I'll show you both front and side view, and then I'll show you the more advanced option. We're going to start off with your hands out in front, and what you're going to do is you're going to turn your body all the way to the left, and you're going to come back and turn all the way over to the right. Now, lats, chest muscles, and a lot of obliques are involved with this exercise, so you may be feeling tightening up in a lot of different places. So for a side view, I'm going to put my arms out in front, long arms. Now your arms could be bent a little bit less if you find discomfort in your shoulder. For now, just to really demonstrate this, I'll keep my arms straight in front. And I'm going to follow my hands and turn all the way over. Once I get over here, you'll start to feel some tension through your midsection slightly. So I want you to try and tighten that up a little bit and then come back. So we're going to do this again. Turn all the way over, tension in my stomach, squeeze it for 1 Mississippi, and then come all the way back. Go nice and slow, and I'd like for you to try and perform this on one side 10 times, and then take a small rest, and then perform it on the right side. Now for more advanced options, this one changes slightly. For the more advanced option, what I'd like for you to do is you're going to do the same thing, except what I want you to do is you're going to lean to one side slightly, and you're going to do the same twists. This time we're going to turn all the way both directions. So I am leaning to the left slightly, which slightly laterally flexes my back, and then rotate nice and slow. By leaning to one side, we increase the torque through the midsection just a little bit and really create some unique force and joint motion options. So go slow and make sure you don't feel any discomfort. So we're going to do lean to the left. We're going to try and do 10 of these. And then you can either take a short break or not, and then do the opposite side. So arms in front, side bend to the right, and then try to turn. Once again, go nice and slow. These last 2 exercises, if you're a golfer, are great exercises. Okay, everybody, so exercise number 2 is now entering into the appendages. And what we're going to do is we're going to work on biceps for exercise number 2 and then triceps for exercise number 3. Now, both of these exercises are working towards developing awareness of those muscles and trying to see if we can get a slight burn in those muscles for some muscle stimulation. Now, if you don't like how this feels, that's fine. Decrease range of motion and slow down a little bit. So for the first exercise, I'm going to stand to the side of the camera so you can see. I am going to perform this with both arms. What I want you to do is I want you to try and flex this muscle in the front of your arm here. So this muscle right here is called your bicep. Your bicep is an elbow flexor, an internal rotator of the arm, and a shoulder flexor, among a few other things. So what I want you to do is take your hand, if you want to practice this, put it on the outside of your bicep and try to fill up your hand with tension. Once you have that tension, try to do it on the other side, and once you have it on both sides, we're going to squeeze our biceps. We're going to slowly keep our biceps tense and go into elbow flexion and squeeze them in here for 1 Mississippi, and then keep them tight and then come back down. You'll be surprised that if you're maintaining voluntary tension of your biceps, how actually difficult this is to try and do 10 times. So if you start to get tired, again, no problem. Stop the exercise when you start to get tired. Make a note as to how many reps you did, and then move on to the next exercise. Try 2 or 3 sets with this. Exercise number 3 is very similar to the first, except now we're working on our triceps, which are muscles on the back of our body. I find most people have a hard time feeling muscles on the back side of their body because they can't see them and they don't have the same sense of awareness of those muscles. So what I want you to do, if I'm standing to the side, I'm going to take my hand, I'm going to put it on the back of my arm and squeeze my arm firmly, and then straighten my elbow so I can feel some tension. So grab your tricep muscles, extend your elbow, and you'll feel some tension in there. Now what we're going going to try and do is we're going to try and keep the back of our elbows tense, and we're going to straighten all the way and lock our elbows super firm for 1 Mississippi. Keep those triceps tense and then come back forward with your arms nice and slow. The best way to do this is as you come back all the way and you squeeze and keep your triceps tense, if you come back slowly, nice and slow, you're going to lose that tension a little bit, but try to hold on to it. And then go back all the way and squeeze your triceps, those muscles in the back of your arms, and again, holding it for 1 Mississippi. If you find this too difficult to feel, do the same thing with your arms just slightly back. Okay, everybody, so exercise number 4 is getting slightly more involved. This is a squat. Now I'm going to show you 2 versions of the squat. One is a traditional squat body weight squat. Second is what I'd call a chair squat. I would say choose your own adventure for this, but the chair squat is the more introductory version. So if you've never done anything like this before, or you're prone to hip or knee problems, start with the chair. Now as far as traditional squats go, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand, I'm going to take my feet and turn them. Now as far as traditional squats go, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my feet and just go wider than my shoulder width stance. I'm going to turn my feet out to where they feel comfortable, and I'm going to squat from here. Now when you do this exercise, if you have a hard time going down, there are 2 options I'm going to recommend for you for doing body weight squats, because some people have different proportions and it's harder to do. So from this stance, what I'm going to do, and I'll show you a side view in a moment, and you can put your hands again wherever you like. I'm going to take my bum, I'm going to push my bum backwards like I'm sitting down onto a chair, and then fold up nice and slow and go down till I feel tension in my hips a little bit, and then come back up nice and slow. Take your time and stop completely at the bottom. So from the side view, same thing. Shoulder width stance, move my feet just wider than my shoulder width, turn my feet out slightly. I'm going to take my bum, leading the exercise with my hips. I'm going to push my bum back behind me, fully stop at the bottom for 1 Mississippi, and then come back up. Go nice and slow with this. Now, for me, I actually have a hard time squatting. My body is not super great at doing it. So there are 2 things that you can do. I have this black pad on the ground here, which you could use a towel or anything similar to a towel consistency, folding it up maybe 3 or 4 times. And I'm going to place my heels on the pad. So if I do a squat with my heels elevated, you'll see that when I do this, I can actually squat a lot deeper, a lot easier without any strain versus not using it. So what's happening is that my actual ankle is limiting how much mobility I can get through a joint range of motion called dorsiflexion. Now, if you don't want to do that, or you want to try something a little more simple, you can actually do the same thing, but go really wide with your stance. Some people will call this a sumo stance. I wouldn't necessarily call it a sumo stance, I would just call it a slightly more abducted stance, and it changes how much joint range of motion your ankle and your hips go through. Now for me, I don't do well with this one, so I'm not even going to demonstrate it. Give it a shot. Now as far as the chair squat option goes, if you have a stool that's adjustable, I find that to be a great place to start. Not so much because mine's got wheels and it can roll away, but if you can adjust the height slightly, you can actually work on progressing this pretty easily without putting too much strain through your body. So I'm seated on a stool, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my feet with that same slightly wider than shoulder width stance, my feet turned out. You do want to have your feet slightly closer towards you, not too much strain, but just slightly closer towards you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lean my weight over top on my feet and then stand up nice and slow. Sitting all the way back down and resting. Now from the side, that looks like something like this. Leaning onto my feet, come back up nice and slow, come back down nice and slow. Try to kiss the bench as you're coming back down with soft landing, and then repeat that. So exercise number 5 is a calf raise. We're going to find something to put our hands against. Now with this, I find if you lean too much weight into the object you're leaning into, you take away a lot of body weight from this exercise. Now that's okay if you have a hard time lifting your body weight. So what I would say is the more advanced version is put your fingertips on an object in front of you, and you're going to lift your heels up all the way, try to squeeze those muscles in the back, come back down and hover just above the ground. Don't touch the ground, hold it for 1 Mississippi, and then come back up, hold it for 1 Mississippi, and then come back down nice and slow. Now the introductory version of this exercise is the same thing, except we're going to put our whole hand on whatever the object is we're leaning into. We're going to lean into our hands a little bit, and we're going to come up all the way and then come back down nice and slow, and you can put your heels down this time. So come all the way up, squeeze your calf, 1 Mississippi, and then come back down and place your heels on the ground nice and gentle, allowing you to recover and then recoup and restart. Down and then heels down. Again, go nice and slow and focus on squeezing those muscles in the back. If you find that you cramp when you get up near the top, don't go as high. Come up just to where before you get that cramp, stop, and then come back down. Now, the last and final exercise for today is a very low intensity exercise, but a highly integrated exercise. It involves a lot of stimulation from the nervous system. We're going to be working on the neck. So the introductory version of this exercise is just going to be taking your nose and you're going to turn all the way to the left, hold this position for 1 Mississippi, and then turn all the way to the right and hold this position for 1 Mississippi. I do find that if you do this seated, that sometimes people will have less range of motion because they're slightly slouched. If you extend up into tall posture, not uncomfortable posture, but just a little taller, and you do the same motion, you might get a little bit more range of motion. Now, the more advanced version is kind of similar to what we did with the trunk rotation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lean to the left slightly. So now I've got torque. I'm trying to push my head down this way. So I'm going to lean to the left with my torso, and then I'm going to turn my head all the way from here. You will notice that while you're leaning to the side, that the sensations in your neck are very different. So we're going to try and do 10 of these. And then once you get tired, or you get to 10, we're going to come to the other side and we're going to do the same thing. If you have a history of any neck problems, decreased range of motion to the point where you don't feel any discomfort, just go where you can go. If you've ever had degenerative disc disease, spondylolisthesis, or any other cervical spine pathology, go slow. Find where you can go without any clunks or discomfort, and this will be a great way for you to help maintain joint motion through your neck.